r/ask Reddit. What opinion of yours makes you an a-hole? People in declining health, old people, need to retake driver's tests regularly. It's ageism. Pure and simple. An acquaintance of mine was hit and killed by a person whose age had diminished his eyesight and cognitive function so much that the driver didn't even know he was driving unsafely. I don't get why this isn't the case. I got my license when I was 16. It says I have 20/20 vision and don't need glasses. I am now 40. I have never had my eyes ray tested for driving. And what about reflexes or awareness? Agree 100%. I was behind a woman merging, weaving, onto a highway on ramp at a steady 30 miles per hour yesterday, cars swarming to get around her. I drove past, carefully, and glanced over. Sure enough, I saw something that looked like Emperor Palpatine with an old lady scarf on her head with her face 2 inches from the steering wheel clutching on for dear life. No exaggeration. The entire slow lane including 2 18-wheelers on I-95 had to merge to the left to get out of her way. I don't care about OMG the feels. There is no excuse for this. It's no more acceptable than any other kind of serious impaired driving. Once you hit 70 years old, driver's test, behind the wheel with an evaluator every year. Deal with it. Someone who serves in the military isn't automatically a hero or someone to be revered and looked up to. My ex-husband served in the Navy for 15 years. He tells the most amazing stories about surviving firefights, disposing of IEDs and cradling his friends as they died in his arms. I have great respect for former servicemen and women, but all I can think about whenever anyone brings up military service is my husband hitting me, throwing beer bottles at my head, or kicked me repeatedly whilst I lay on the ground begging him to stop. As soon as someone says I'm ex-military I think wife beater. It's completely ducked up, but that's the way it is. Edit. For anyone asking, he was a clearance diver. This was actually confirmed to me. However, his stories about being a sniper, going through, but not completely, SAS training and once being offered a position with the French Foreign Legion have not. Wonder why. Family isn't nearly as important as people think it is. Don't ever let someone pressure you into something because they're family. If you want to cut them out of your life, go for it. There's a very nice quote from Game of Thrones that's something like, "They're not my family, they're a-holes with my nose." Assisted suicide for all, and for all a good night. Got a ringing in your ears? Let the doctor permanently cure that bout of tinnitus for you. I unironically think death should be just another lifestyle choice. Look at all the billions we waste so old people can suffer a few additional months at the ends of their lives. That makes no sense to me. Cold as it sounds, you have a point. Women should only be accepted into the fire brigade, military and police force etc. if they can pass the same physical tests as the men have to. Female war veteran here who did pass the male standards, commenting, a lot of female recruits arrive at boot camp never having built up basic cardio and strength before in their lives. What's worse, they think their problem is a lack of talent rather than a lack of training. The PT standards for military service are designed around what they can push the average teenager to pass in a couple of months. It's grueling for kids who've never left home before, yet really not that tough. As a woman in my 30s I completed the Navy PT run in the time for a 24-year-old male and exceeded the push-ups for a 19-year-old male. Not a humongous Amazon, but had hit the gym and been in shape. Had never been in organized sports back in school because, as a girl, nobody expected much, which was bullshit. Not until leaving home and working a civilian job did I get the freedom and resources to work out properly. Then 9/11 happened and I had family in WTC. Joined the service later than most. Getting back into shape happens faster than getting into condition for the first time. Once you lift weights at the gym 3 or 4 times a week for a year, then drift out of it, you can regain the muscle in 3 months that took 12 months to build in the first place. Boot camp lasts 2 to 3 months depending on the branch of service. So if you want females to pass the same PT standards as males, I'm cool with that. Follow through, though, and stop raising girls with bullshit expectations. Prep them better before they arrive at basic training, or else make basic training last longer. Because really, a 1.5 mile run is not that hard. I am about as liberal as it gets on all my opinions, but I'm kind of tired of hearing about the spectrum of genders. Look, I'll call you whatever you want me to, but upon first meeting I will refer to you using male or female terms based on whichever sexual features you present. Don't get offended with me. It seems like every day someone creates a new word to describe their gender or sexuality. This being said, I am going to respect you regardless, and I don't care who uses what bathroom. Just don't act like an a-hole to me when I call you sir and you are actually a wolf asexual partial binary womperat. While I am mostly accepting of people who exhibit a non-binary gender identity, I have always believed that these people need to understand that until told otherwise, people are going to assume your gender, while they may dislike it. Simply saying, actually, I don't identify with that gender / don't use those pronouns should rectify the situation. If the person continues to intentionally misgender you after you tell them, then be the biggest a-hole you want. But do not assume that we will be able to know the full extent of your gender identity at a glance. Kids aren't bad kids. Parents are bad parents, a large majority of the time. And parents don't deserve a pat on the back just for giving birth to a human and giving it clothes, food, and a place to live. Congratulations, you did the bare minimum. Were you expecting some kind of ducking participation award for keeping a human alive? Claps very slowly. Yes, I personally have met someone who acts like their child should know things by now. She publicly screams at her 2 years old like it's supposed to make things better. I stupidly gave it a go in friendship, but after a full day of seeing a person I never want to be or associate myself with, I walked away. I can't believe people like that continue to have kids. 2. She's about to have her second. Somehow it makes her an awesome mom even though she can't even handle one. She's a stay-at-home mom for duck's sake. Most children are annoying. All children are annoying some of the time, and some children are annoying all of the time. And most are not cute. I don't want to see your newborn baby's pictures. He looks like a purple alien. I'm a Muslim and I hate when other Muslims go to someone else's country and try to make it into a Muslim country. The only reason I left Muslim countries is because of how ducked up it is. That's why now I follow the rules of the country I'm in and go against those who want to implant Sharia law. Duck that law. Ducking preach dude. I'm in Canada and they're trying to ban sex ed from being taught in schools cause it's against their religion. That's as if I went to your house and told you that you should change the curtains. Infuriating. Having kids shouldn't be a right but a privilege. Some people should not have kids. I agree, but it's impossible to enforce without quickly degrading into a corrupt tyranny. People with anime avatars are inferior human beings. What if the person is an anime character? If I knew my child was going to be retarded, I would want to abort it. A neighbor got divorced so they could have time away from the child each week. They couldn't handle it 24/7 and it ruined their family. Husband said it himself to my dad. Too many people use mental illness as a crutch for bad or lazy behavior. This makes it harder for people who have real mental illness to get help. But anyone who questions anything, or even believes that we should have limits concerning what we do for, or consider, mental illness, is an a-hole. I try not to judge people for being lazy. You have no way of knowing what's inside a mentally ill person's head, and a lot of behavior being criticized is people just trying to cope. If you're depressed, you should be minimizing stressful things and taking every opportunity that might make you happier. But that could be seen by an outsider as being able to do all these fun things and then chickening out of work. Not to mention that people try to disguise their emotions to look like they're better than they are. So they might seem to be selectively not coping while really they're faking it and sometimes failing. Also, you tend to only see people on their best days, since when they're really bad they stay locked in their rooms. This can make it seem like they aren't really mentally ill. Only a psychologist can judge that. Mentally ill people can be the worst to each other about this. If you have a more severe form of what someone else has, you think they could have it worse. They should stop complaining, and if you have a more mild version you think I have the same thing and I got through just fine, they should tough it out. The only thing I can't excuse is hurting or threatening others and then falling back on mental illness. Inaction is one thing. Actual maliciousness is another entirely. The developmentally disabled shouldn't be praised or given special opportunities just because of their disability. Euthanasia should be legal everywhere. Soon as a person's quality of life has declined, they should have that option. I would consider this makes me an a-hole, as I know many people who couldn't face it. But my gran is in the very late stages of Alzheimer's and I wish we'd sent her off ages ago. She's not the gran I knew when I was younger. Why do I want these final days to be my last memories of her? I barely want to see her anymore cause it's just depressing for everyone involved. It would release the whole family of a burden we have hanging over us. Constant care and lots of money poured into someone who doesn't know what day it is and lies there in her bed like a Draugr from Skyrim. It's not fair on anyone involved and I strongly consider it to be the best thing to do. It would also allow my granddad to get out and about a bit more. He's miserable right now cause of the heartbreak he's facing. He can't get out cause he can't leave her, even though she sleeps for days on end. It's just that constant risk. It really sucks. And dare I say everything would be far easier if my gran had just been safely, quietly and peacefully euthanized in her home about a year ago. But you've just got to deal with it and try not to think about this kind of thing. Engagement rings are a stupid waste money and should be phased out. Take care of yourself first. By that I mean, you can't help anyone while struggling and worrying about your income or personal issues. If you do help them, they'd sink you. I would never shame someone for having to go to work or school or whatever before helping me. I understand they don't prioritize it over me, but they can't hold their life to immediately help me. You simultaneously duck yourself over trying to help someone. And it helps neither. I work hard so I never have to ask for a favor or be stuck in a situation where I can't help someone family because I'm in shit. 2. I don't want to be helpless in any situation. I try to always be on top of things to be ready for anything. Plan A, Plan B and room for error. But when I explain that to someone, their immediate response or understanding is I'm being a selfish a-hole. It's not like I deny anyone. I just make sure I'm well enough to help first. Athletes are not more important than you or me. They just get paid a shit ton more. People who receive food stamps should not be smokers or drinkers. If they can afford to buy tobacco or alcohol, they can afford to pay for their own food. I cannot stand people who believe that they deserve unconditional respect because they are older, in charge, especially with teachers, etc. I will respect everyone to begin with, but they will have to prove that they deserve that respect. But if you think that you are more important just because of a title, job, number, etc., I will no longer respect you. Simple. Alright. Vent finished. Emo Caitlyn Jenner isn't a true hero. A wealthy, sheltered, and privileged person that has not endured even a tenth of what many transgender people have to endure in their daily lives. Coming out as transgender does not make anybody heroic or brave. If you claim to have some sort of mental illness, you should have a signed paper from your therapist confirming you do, in fact, have this illness. No, Cheryl, you don't have OCD. You just like being neat. And FFS, no, Christine. You aren't depressed or have anxiety. You just feel a little sad at the moment, and after 20 minutes, you're gonna be just alright and laughing at that poor girl who tripped over her ducking shit attitude. Not all opinions are equal and worth respecting. They should have the legal right to profess those opinions. But I don't think society should treat it as if the opinion of a neo-Nazi and someone who isn't a racist are equally valid. It should be okay to body slam people who walk slowly in front of you. It should be legal to euthanize severely disabled, vegetable, even, without any future other than staring and drooling, children in order to prevent their lifelong suffering. When my mother was declared brain dead after an asthma attack, my family made the decision to turn off life support and donate her organs. I shared the story on my main Reddit and some ducker sent me a message just to say we were all murderers playing God. My mother was a nurse who never would have wanted to be like that. Be a person, not a potato. Edited to add wow. Thanks for the gold and all of the awesome messages people have sent me. It's not inherently a bad thing if minority languages die out. For example, some of the small Celtic languages in places like Cornwall and Brittany. It is bad if individuals are bullied or harassed or mistreated for speaking a minority language. But it's not inherently bad if these minority languages die a natural death, as people choose not to keep all the customs and habits of their grandparents, but instead choose to integrate into a broader, more global society. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.